It's recording.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. We're just going to give it a minute just so we can let people in from the waiting room and get everybody joined. All right, Pam, maybe give it another 30 seconds and then we'll get going.
Sure. Mhm. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Paddlesport Trade Coalition's informational webinar. This is the fourth webinar in this series introducing industry best practices. The previous three webinars focused on retailers, brands, and sales representatives, and recordings of those sessions and other PTC webinars are posted for review on the new PTC website at paddlesporttradecoalition.org. Today's webinar is presented by the PTC Best Practices Committee. This webinar continues the discussion of gold standards and the deep dive in self-assessment tools. Today's focus is on the role of community organization. This webinar is open to all interested parties, and we are excited to have you here with us today. So thank you very much for joining us. My name is Pamela Dillon. I serve as staff for the Paddlesport Trade Coalition. I'm pleased to serve as your on-air host today, with assistance behind the scene from Kristen Place. We could not do it without Kristen. She is your associate representative to the PTC Board of Directors, and she is head of outdoor for Delta Digital. Rapid Media is part of Delta Digital, and they are the media sponsor for the Paddlesport Trade Coalition. Few housekeeping items as we get started. The webinar is being recorded and will be available via a link shared with all of you who have registered. To safeguard against background noise, all participants are currently muted for the duration of the webinar, but we do hope at the end of the webinar to open the mics up for a Q&A session. And at that time, if you'd like to ask your question live, please raise your hand. You can find that under the React feature, probably at the bottom of your screen, and we can unmute you to ask your question live. But you also have other options for engagement. We're going to have a number of polls through the webinar. At this time, we'd like you to find your chat feature. Let us know who you are and where you're located. And while you're looking around for that chat, also find the Q&A feature at any time during the presentation. Using that Q&A feature will allow us to answer your question directly, or if it's appropriate, we'll go ahead and announce that live and let the panelists answer that on air, because it probably would be of interest to a number of others. Thanks for joining us again. To get us started, here is our PTC Board of Directors Chair, Stig Larsens. Steve.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks,
Stig.
Pam. Yeah, no worries. It's been my
Sorry.
entire life. Thanks, Pam and Kristen, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Before we get started on discussions of best practices, I kind of want to share a quick update on the PTC and what we've been doing behind the scenes, advocating and working for the industry as a whole. Over the past month, spring is here, we've been fully utilizing our new website platform that the tech committee and spearheaded by Kristen has really been putting a lot of effort in since last fall. This new website platform and integrated ERP will be realizing obviously substantial savings on our hosting costs with our previous provider. These savings, of course, will go towards paying down some of our initial startup legal costs that were incurred to officially register the PTC as a 501c not-for-profit. For those that have been renewing memberships, you will also now have the ability to pay in small monthly payments versus one annual payment, something that the membership base has been asking for quite some time. So that's been implemented now, which is great. Thank you for those suggestions. Also, as we continue to develop these webinars and information sharing sessions, and along with these recordings, they'll be available to be rewatched in a members section of the website. So stay tuned for more information on this. So you'll be able to kind of show your staff what we've been discussing. If you're a retailer, if you're a brand or a sales rep or outfitter, you can kind of guide them along the same information journey that you've been shown here today. Lastly, next, Brian Vincent will be representing the PTC at the upcoming Outdoor Recreational Roundtable National Executive Forum on Health and Outdoor Recreation. That's May 6th and 7th in Washington, D.C. So if you have any industry-specific comments or feedback that he should be aware of, please email us at info@paddlesportstradecoalition.org. Definitely, if you've got things that are key to your backyard, or even some broader scope issues you'd like him to discuss or bring up, send us that request, and we can make sure Brian gets that and can represent us accordingly. The committees within the PTC also have, obviously, based on this committee, you can see there's a lot of work behind the scenes, but there's a lot of other committees as well on the PTC that have been working diligently trying to service the membership with specific things. Some of those have been like reduced freight costs for boat brands. That's a big hot topic, which happened since our initial PTC forming 3 years ago. Group business insurance discounts. I know, especially for a lot of our US members, these business insurance rates are going through the roof. And so we're actively looking at a group insurance plan, and it seems very, very promising. So you'll be able to see a bit more of that coming down the line. Website improvements, which I kind of discussed already, but you'll see more and more of that happening as you log into the new website. Of course, anything you'd like to see that you don't see, please let us know. We are an organization built on our membership. The Membership Engagement Committee is really looking at a long-term strategic plan of the PTC. How can we engage more with what your needs are as brands, retailers, outfitters, sales reps, association, industry partners, and of course the Go Paddle Day and the PTC Collab committees. This leads me to my next slide, the Go Paddle Day. As announced, originally announced last fall, but we kind of built upon it a bit more the last webinar. The official Go Paddle Day is on June 20th, and that will be our second annual Go Paddle Day event. The goal for this event is to really support one of the cornerstone objectives of the PTC, which is to increase participation within paddle sports and increase engagement between the end consumers and the retailers, outfitters, clubs at the forefront of this growing sport. The annual event as well as paddling events in and around this date really need to be celebrated and promoted with a unified voice from the brands, retailers, outfitters, clubs, reps, associations, which is the PTC, for us to all have the impact that we're looking to achieve. Bain is one of the leads on this committee, so he'll be talking a bit more about this in detail in slides near the end of this presentation. The next thing that should be on everyone's radar is the upcoming nominations for the board seats. As you know, for being here for a while, the board seats are a 2-year term, and the full board of 15 people, we make sure that not all board seats are up in the same year, because that could be a bit of a catastrophe. So half the board seats come up on the off years. So with that said, there are quite a few board seats up for re-election this year. If you're interested, or you know someone who's interested, please send the head of that committee, Jeff Turner, email address on below there, a nomination. And the close for nominations, of course, is June 1st, as the slide states, and then we will be going through the election process. So if you want to be part of the guiding voice for paddle sports, or you know somebody who would be good at this role and would like to advocate for change, please send us an email, and we'll make sure we judge them accordingly. And of course, if they have questions on what that would entail, for sure you can email me directly, stig@level6.com, and I can walk you through what that would look like as far as time commitment. Next slide, we have our a big event it's our annual general meeting, as well an annual celebration of what the paddle sports industry is or could become, and that's the PTC Collab. This year, we mentioned it the last webinar, we have finalized our partnership with the Montgomery Whitewater Center, which seems it's an excellent partner. They are really, really supportive of what we're trying to do. We're working closely with them as well as Experience Montgomery to really amplify this event and make it the national gathering for the industry to share ideas, learn from each other, and try new equipment and help guide the direction of the industry. I did send out an email, I would say quasi-personal, to everyone who's been at the past 2 collabs, kind of outlining what our vision is for this event this year. And in brief, kind of we're building out in terms of how we can best utilize the facility to ensure everyone that attends feels it's a worthwhile use of their time. The event this year is October 14th, 15th, 16th, which really seems to be that time of year where the broader membership can come down and activate and participate. And we'll have many of the key segments that we've built out over the past 2 years. These include bringing in influential and thought-provoking guest speakers, presentations from the PTC committee on topics like the one being discussed here today, along with Montgomery Whitewater Center giving us full access to the entire facility for those 3 days. We're going to really be able to expand the PTC University series with swiftwater rescue courses, kayak fishing seminars on the river, off the river, flatwater and whitewater demos on site, in-water PFD demos in both whitewater and flatwater, oar rigs, rafting on the channels. They've committed to that as well for us. And so really be able to make sure everybody who's part of the PTC can get what they need out of this event and be able to try the latest equipment from the brands during the product showcase in the environment those products were meant to be in. Something that I feel that we kind of missed a bit last year with Charlotte. And I think, well, we definitely, Montgomery understands what we're trying to achieve here, and they've stepped up to bat. Of course, we're having the industry reception on the Thursday evening under the stars and the lights at the Whitewater Center. It's going to be a pretty incredible venue. We've seen some photos what we can do there. It's going to be an incredible night for us to all kind of celebrate our industry, raise a glass, share some of the different stories, the positive and negatives on where you see the industry is going, and ideally, how you can change your business or maybe make your business tweak a little bit to stay relevant in this ever-changing market. Along with that, and the support of the brand partners and the local partners, Experience Montgomery, we're also looking to have a retailer incentive that will help offset the cost of travel and accommodations to the event. I know things are tight and tough as we're kind of navigating this world right now, but these events, these national events, we can get together and share ideas and come out stronger as a unified voice are incredibly important. For those who have been to the Strasbourg show, the Paddlesports show in Europe, everyone kind of knows, what those events look like afterwards. You come out, invigorated, you're thinking differently, you've created new partnerships, new relationships, and from that, you can grow your business together. So with all that said, we are building out the 3-day agenda right now, and it'd be great for you to share your thoughts in the chat on what most interests you for this event. We have time to build this out, but ideally the PTC Collab committee would like to make this event perfect for every single one of you, to ensure that when you do attend, you take the time and energy to come be part of the broader family of paddle sports. You're leaving with exactly the information that you're hoping to get. Okay, so I think you've heard enough about me. I'd like to introduce the PTC Best Practice Committee, and has worked incredibly hard on this series. And the committee is built up from some board members, some industry veterans, some volunteers, ideally from a broad spectrum of representing what paddle sports is all about in North America. So committee chair, Patrick Quinney from Level 6. Committee members are Rob Bozen from Blue Water Trading, Brian Boya from Bending Branches, Nancy from Mohician Canoes and Kayaks, Simon from AQ Outdoors, Jason from Bending Branches Aquabound, Cole TMC Reps, Jen Champion Outdoors, Bain Southwest Paddle Sports, Kevin Rocktown Adventures, Derry Florida Paddling Trails Association, and Andrea Cross Current Leadership. I'd like to now introduce Pat Queen to get this presentation started.
Thanks, Stig, and thank you everyone for joining us. So to kick things off, I'm Patrick. I work here at Level 6, and today I'll be joined by a talented bunch in presenting the best practices and gold standards for community organizations. So today I'll be joined by Jason from Aquabound Bending Branches, Rob Bozen from Blue Water Trading, Andrea White from Cross Currents Leadership, Brian Boyer from Aquabound and Bending Branches, Derry Walsh from Florida Paddling Trails, and Tony Narcisse from Paddle for Tomorrow. Simon will not be joining us today. Before we jump into the content, I'd like to kick things off with a poll. I always like to see who's present. So there's a poll up there on your screen. We'll just take a few moments to go through that. So which part of the paddle sports stakeholders do you primarily identify with? Retailer, outfitter, sales rep, community organization, brand, manufacturer, and other. And if you're a part of that other category, put it in the chat, and we'll go through those results later. So while we're conducting that poll, before we get into the content, I want to quickly ground us in the broader context of why this work exists. At the highest level, the PTC is guided by 3 clear goals. So first is to grow participation in paddle sports. Second, to strengthen the long-term health of our industry. And third, to improve how we work together and create more efficient and effective trade practices. So the best practice committee exists to help translate those goals into something practical. We're not here to create policy or enforce rules. Our role is really to just turn shared values into clear, usable guidelines. And that's where the gold standards come in. So they're intentionally focused on behavior, how we communicate, how we partner, and how we show up for one another across the ecosystem. Whether you're a retailer, a brand, a rep, a community organization, the goal is alignment, not uniformity. Today's session applies the same frameworks that we've been going through, specifically around community organizations, how we engage with them, and how they engage with the broader ecosystem. So without further ado, I guess before we jump to the next slide, let's go through the poll results. So good split here. Looks like the majority of people here, 33%, are brands and manufacturers, then followed by retailers and other. So I'm going to go through that chat here and see what the others are. And community organizations, 20% of us are part of community organizations. So that's great. And now I'm going to turn things over to Jason to continue the content.
Yeah, Patrick, thank you very much. We are going to start out this slide also with a poll, and we really are trying to find out what the level of involvement with community organizations are from the participation in this webinar. So the question is, which types of community organizations are you involved with? And select all that apply. So if you are a community organization, just click the ones that apply most appropriately. And if you work with community organizations, same, check the boxes that apply for your specific situation. So as you're filling out that poll, we'll get started on this slide, and then we'll show the poll results at the end of this slide. So before we go any further, it is important to get clear on what we mean when we say community organizations. This isn't one specific type of group. It's a broad mix of clubs, conservation groups, grassroots nonprofits, advocacy organizations, and volunteer-led initiatives that exist across the paddle sports landscape. Some are formal organizations with structure and funding, and others are informal groups that meet regularly and build community through shared time on the water. What they do all have in common is that they are driven by passion, not profit. And that's important for the industry to capture what these folks and these organizations are able to do for us. They exist to get people on the water. They protect the places we paddle. They create opportunities for people to connect, learn, and be part of something. These are the groups that show up week after week. They organize paddles, they run programs, they host events, lead cleanups, secure watershed access for the public, and help build real community at the local level. And for the rest of the industry, this is an important group to understand. because while they may not operate like traditional businesses, they play a critical role in shaping participation, also in shaping culture and long-term engagement in paddle sports. So with that, if we could pull up the poll and see where we're at here. So which types of community organizations are you involved with? Looks like the number one here is nonprofits or advocacy groups, with a really nice scattering across the rest of the paddling clubs, local meetup groups, Riverkeepers or conservation organizations, instructional programs or schools, and volunteer-led initiatives. Not currently involved, that means that you have an opportunity in front of you, and hopefully we can bring that forward for you today and give you some options. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Andrea White. Andrea?
Thanks, Jason. I love that. Let's create some opportunities for these folks. So we'll start again with a poll. You see how we do here, you guys. How were you first introduced to paddle sports? And just give us your answer. That'll give us a little more information about sort of who's joining us. The topic at hand, though, community organizations play a different role than other parts of the paddle sports industries. They're not focused on product. They're not focused on transactions. Their role is to bring people together and create the kind of experiences that keep paddling alive at the local level, to bring newcomers to the sport and keep people engaged over time. They create opportunities for people to get on the water, whether that's through organized programs, club nights, events, or informal gatherings. They create connections and community. They bring paddlers together, build relationships, and create a sense of belonging that keeps people engaged over time. They also play a critical role in protecting the environments where we paddle. Advocacy for waterway access, conservation efforts, and responsible recreation are all driven really very strongly at the community level. And they help shape the culture of our sport. They set the tone for how welcoming, inclusive, and supportive paddling feels to someone new. When you look at strong paddling communities, it's almost always because there are people and organizations behind the scenes putting in the time to bring others together. That's the role community organizations play, and they're an essential catalyst in the foundation of this paddle sports sector that we all are invested in supporting. So let's look at that answer for that poll. Looks like we got 52% of this current audience came through friends and family. And I think that's probably, I mean, I'm shooting it from an educated perspective, but I think that's probably pretty representative of the marketplace. We all know we will have a more sustainable industry if we have folks that are building community through paddling. So anything we can do to help build that community of paddlers is always going to be a plus for our individual organizations and our industry as a whole. Derry, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Andrea. Now that we've grounded what community organizations are and the role they play, the next question is why this matters to the broader industry. Participation doesn't just happen, it's built through experiences, and most of those experiences happen at the community level. For many people, their introduction to paddling comes through a local club, a community event, or simply being invited out by someone already involved. Those early interactions carry a lot of weight. The first group experience can nurture the curiosity and perhaps ignite a lifelong passion for paddling. This is often the time when they are handed their first carbon paddle, or perhaps they get to try out a sleek paddlecraft, so different from their own. At this point, it's all organic. These early interactions carry a lot of weight. They shape how confident someone feels, how safe they feel, and whether they feel like they belong. If it's positive, they become part of the community. And this is where the connection to the rest of the industry becomes clear. When participation grows, everything else is more stable. Retailers see more engaged customers. Brands and representatives have a stronger and more connected audience. The entire ecosystem benefits from a larger, more active paddling community. So when we talk about gold standards for community organizations, we aren't just ticking boxes or placing expectations on volunteers. We're providing the rest of the industry with a roadmap on how to support the very environments where new participation is actively being built. To invest in community is to invest in future growth and sustainability of the entire paddling industry. Ryan, your turn.
So thanks, Derry. So we're gonna get this started by another poll here. Hopefully you guys aren't sick of them yet, but this one reads, in your experience, who typically initiates partnerships with the community organizations? So is it the community orgs reach out, brands, retailers, reps are reaching out? It's a mix of both, or we're not sure. So while you're diving into that, the best things that are happening in paddle sports are happening at the local level. So they're being driven by these community organizations that we're talking about. The community organizations are the people organizing paddles, running programs, creating access, and building real connections out in the water. More often than not, they're the ones doing the outreach. They're asking for support and trying to make things happen. So, what we're really trying to communicate here is how do we shift that dynamic? So, if we want to grow participation and strengthen the sport, this can't sit on the shoulders of community organizations alone. So as brands, as retailers, as reps, there's an opportunity for each of us to be more more proactive. Each of us have an opportunity to reach out, to show up, to look for ways to support what's already happening locally. And the support doesn't have to start or isn't limited to funding. It can be showing up at events, helping run programs, promoting local initiatives, or simply building relationships over time. The real impact here will come from consistency, not a one-off moment, not a single event, but ongoing collaboration. So when that happens, more people are going to get out in the water, communities will get stronger, and the industry as a whole will grow as a result. So, Kristen, can we see the results from that poll? Okay, so I think this illustrates what we're really talking about here. So 65% of us are saying that community organizations are the ones reaching out for that support. So, kind of the rhetorical question is, what can we do? How can we each take something away from this and do something to change that? So now I'm going to kick things off to Rob, and we're going to dive into the community orgs gold standards.
Thanks, Brian. Participation growth is a shared responsibility across the entire paddle sports ecosystem, but community organizations often lead the most direct and hands-on engagement with new paddlers. They are where curiosity can grow into life-changing journeys of on-water exploration and healthy living. Growing participation is not simply about increasing numbers, it's about creating environments where people feel welcomed, supported, and capable. Inclusion happens through intentional design of programs, communication, and culture. It is experienced in how people are greeted, how instruction is delivered, and how communities respond to diverse needs. Reducing barriers to entry is a key part of this work. This can be providing access to equipment, offering affordable programming, or creating learning environments that meet participants where they are in their journey. Small adjustments in accessibility can have significant long-term impact on who feels able to participate. Partnerships also play a role in participation growth. Collaboration with retailers, brands, and representatives can help extend reach, improve resource availability, and create clear pathways for continued engagement. When new paddlers know where to go next, participation becomes more sustainable. By intentionally focusing on inclusion and accessibility, community organizations help ensure that participation growth reflects the diversity of the communities they serve and contributes to a healthier, more resilient paddle sports ecosystem. Now I'll turn it over to Andrea to run through gold standard number 2.
Thanks, Rob. So let's start with a poll question. What's the biggest barrier to growing participation in your area? And you may have to kind of debate between a couple, but put your best feelers out on that. We know that long-term participation in paddle sports depends on the health of the waterways and the accessibility of the environments where we paddle. Community organizations are often the most consistent and credible advocates for protecting these shared resources. And that advocacy can take many forms. It may involve engaging with local municipalities to maintain and improve the local access points. It may include collaborating with conservation groups to protect habitats and promote responsible recreation. In many communities, it also means educating participants about environmental stewardship and the shared responsibility of preserving waterways for future use. Community organizations play an important role in helping local decision makers understand the value of paddle sports by demonstrating how paddling contributes to the quality of life and to local economies. Community organizations help ensure that the access and infrastructure remain priorities in the regional planning discussions. Stewardship initiatives such as cleanups, conservation projects, and safety awareness campaigns also reinforce a culture of responsibility within the paddling community. Their actions not only protect the environment, but also strengthen that sense of shared ownership among paddlers. When community organizations lead with strong advocacy and stewardship, they help ensure that paddlers, that we recruit new paddlers, that we help paddlers stay engaged over time, and that we protect the places we love to paddle. Let's look at that poll answer. Lack of awareness. Yeah, we see that happening all over the place. We have lots of folks who want to go paddle, maybe don't know where to paddle or who to paddle with or how to do it in the most readily accessible way. So that's relatable. Derry, I'll bring you back to the table.
Hey, thanks, Andrea. Education plays a central role in building confident and capable paddlers, but community organizations contribute to this in different ways. Some deliver direct instruction and structured programs, while others act as hubs that help individuals access the knowledge, mentors, and opportunities they need to develop their skills. In many communities, these organizations serve as trusted guides. They help participants understand where to learn, who to connect with, and how to progress safely and responsibly. This role reduces barriers to learning and creates clearer pathways for long-term engagement. Community organizations also play a critical role in shaping safety culture. Through programs, events, and peer leadership, they help establish shared norms around risk awareness, preparedness, and responsible decision-making on the water. This cultural influence often has a lasting impact on how paddlers approach the sport throughout their lives. Environmental awareness and stewardship are equally important elements of this educational role. Community groups frequently lead initiatives that connect paddlers to conservation efforts, waterway protection, and access advocacy. By engaging participants in stewardship, they help foster a sense of shared responsibility for the environments that make paddling possible. Empowerment comes from the progression and involvement. Entry-level experiences should connect to opportunities for continued learning, leadership, and a deeper participation in both community and conservation efforts. Collaboration strengthens this impact. Partnerships with retailers, instructors, brands, and experienced paddlers help ensure that knowledge is accessible, consistent, and aligned across the ecosystem. By facilitating learning, safety culture, and stewardship, community organizations help build not only skilled paddlers, but responsible and engaged members of the broader paddling community. Back to you, Pat.
Thanks, Derry. And before jumping into this last gold standard, just out of the blue here, I would love to hear from everybody on this call. If there's any other gold standards you think we missed, just toss that in the chat. That'll definitely be something we'll review later. So the final gold standard is how to connect industry and community. One of the most powerful signals of the paddle sports industry is the presence of an engaged and active local paddling community. Where participation is strong and communities are vibrant, industry attention and resources tend to follow. Brands, by their nature, often operate at a distance from local markets. While they can support initiatives and provide resources, it is difficult for them to build authentic grassroots community on their own. Retailers are often more locally embedded and play an important role in fostering connection, but their commercial mandate can sometimes create a little skepticism among community members about underlying motivations. Community organizations occupy a unique and trusted position. They're typically driven by passion for paddling, stewardship of waterways, and a desire to create inclusive opportunities for participation. Their focus is not on profit, but on building a healthy and engaged local paddling culture. This purpose-driven approach allows them to foster credibility and trust in ways that are difficult for commercial entities to replicate. When community organizations succeed in building strong partnership or participation and engagement, they help create conditions that attract industry investment, partnerships, and long-term support. In this way, grassroots community strength often becomes the foundation upon which a broader ecosystem is built and thrives. This dynamic reinforces the importance of alignment. When community organizations, retailers, brands, and sales reps work together around shared goals, enthusiasm at the grassroots level can be matched in the resources and infrastructure needed to sustain growth. By connecting participation with partnership, community organizations help ensure that industry engagement is both responsive to local needs and supportive of long-term ecosystem health. So now over to Brian.
All right, so we're gonna kick this off, I think, with the last of the polls here. So what we're looking for is how do we feel about the current level of collaboration between the industry and community organizations? So while you're thinking through that, you will see a QR code on your screen. If you scan that, that's going to bring you to the page on the Paddlesports Trade Coalition's website where we have a whole series of self-assessments. And so the purpose and what we're introducing today is the community organization self-assessment tool. So the purpose of these is to help community organizations translate values and intentions into structured, actionable priorities. Many community organizations operate with a strong mission alignment, but limited time, resource, and capacity. The tool here is designed to help support thoughtful reflection and focused improvement rather than to add complexity to an organization. So the assessment ideally would be completed by a collaborative leadership group, board, or core group of volunteers. Different perspectives often surface important insights about where an organization is strong and where there might be opportunities to strengthen programs, partnerships, or our overall impact. So the 1 to 5 scale that you'll notice on the assessment is intended to evaluate your current operational reality. It's not about aspiration or comparing with other organizations. It's not a scorecard or a report card. What we really want is honest reflection. It's going to provide the most useful foundation for how we identify what the next steps might be. So after completing the assessment, organizations are encouraged to identify 2 or 3 priority areas for the coming year. They may relate to participation growth, inclusion efforts, advocacy initiatives, partnership development, program quality, or something totally different. Small focused improvements can have a significant impact when you add them all up and you're looking at things cumulatively. The goal here is not perfection. It's continuous progress that's going to strengthen both local community outcomes and the broader paddle sports ecosystem. So by using the self-assessment tool as a guide, community organizations can align their passion and purpose with practical actions that support long-term sustainability and collaboration. So before I pass it over to the next slide, there's it looks like Kristen dropped a link into the chat. The QR code on the screen will bring you to the self-assessment tool page. What I want to do is I want to hear from retailers, brands, reps. So if you're willing to in the chat, drop a note. Have you taken your self-assessment? Has your company or organization taken your self-assessment? And if so, and if you're willing, what were some of the key takeaways? So drop that stuff in the chat right now just to see how the stuff that we've previously presented is landing. And then we'll review this poll here. So right now, feels like the overwhelming majority is feeling like we have a limited level of collaboration between industry and community organizations. So about 60% of us are in the limited camp. A little over 25% are saying it's somewhat strong, and the rest are in the very limited camp. So again, like we've highlighted earlier, there is certainly opportunity for growth here. So with that, we're going to kick things over for Tony for his perspective.
Thank you, Brian. I'm Tony Narcisse with Paddle for Tomorrow. We are a community-based organization based here in Atlanta, Georgia, and based on that last poll, I've got some work to do, it looks like. I did go through the self-assessment, and a couple of things kind of stood out to me right away. First, it gave us a real clear sense of how we fit into the broader PTC ecosystem. It kind of made the idea of collaboration much more tangible for us. It also helped highlight areas where we can improve as an organization, not just in how we operate internally, but how we show up as a partner within the industry. One of the biggest takeaways for me was that it reinforced the role that community organizations play. It was clear that we're just not participants. We're a meaningful part of this ecosystem and how it functions. Overall, it takes what can feel like a big, complex ideas and breaks them down into something that's actually tangible. I think my statement here is more than an endorsement, but really a call to engage, both in the PTC specifically, but definitely you should take the self-assessment tool seriously and participate. Back to you, Jason.
All right, Tony, thank you so much for that perspective. It's greatly appreciated. As we wrap up, it's important to return to the broader purpose that connects this work and everything that we're doing. So what we've discussed today relates directly to the goals of the Paddle Sports Trade Coalition and what the Best Practices Committee is working on to try and implement across the industry. And it's really coming down to three things. So if we remember these three goals, and if our outcomes of the work that we're doing improves our position in these three goals, then we're making progress in the right direction. So in no particular order, we're trying to accomplish growth and participation in paddle sports. We're looking to strengthen the long-term health of our industry and thinking about ways to improve how we work together through more effective and aligned practices. Again, those are the three main initiatives that we're focusing on as we're presenting this work to you that we put together. Community organizations do play a vital role in this vision by creating engaged local paddling cultures, advocating for access and stewardship, and fostering inclusive participation. They help translate industry intent into real-world impact. At the same time, participation growth and ecosystem health are shared responsibilities. When community leaders, retailers, brands, and representatives aligned around common standards and values, collaboration becomes more effective and outcomes become more sustainable. The community organization gold standards are not about doing everything at once. They do, however, provide a framework for reflection, prioritization, and continuous improvement. The self-assessment tool, as we presented today, and as hopefully you get a chance to look at and take for your own organization, the self-assessment tool offers a practical starting point for identifying areas where focused effort can create meaningful change. Our call to action for you all is simple. Please complete the community organization self-assessment with your leadership team or your core set of volunteers or your board, and identify 2 to 3 priorities for the coming year. For those of you on this call that are not community organizations, maybe you're a brand, maybe you're a retailer, a representative agency, please go to the PTC webpage as well and complete the self-assessment for your particular category if you have not already done so. Finally, if this work resonates with you, we're always looking for more individuals who are willing to help our cause and participate. So we do welcome your involvement. The Best Practice Committee is made up of volunteers from across the paddle sports ecosystem, and community organization participation is essential to ensuring these standards remain grounded and relevant. If you are interested in contributing, please share your name and email in the chat, and we will reach out to you to connect and figure out how to make that happen. Together we can continue strengthening participation, stewardship, and collaboration across the paddle sports community. So that ends this particular slide. I'm now going to pass it over to Bain Privet, who is going to give us more information on what Go Paddle Day looks like this year. Bain, over to you.
Thank you, Jason. Myself and John Kahn are the new co-chairs of the Go Paddle Day committee. We're kind of excited to get things off the ground and rolling. We got about 10 weeks until Go Paddle Day, so got a lot to do between now and then. So what I'm here today to ask is kind of for help. Much like the Best Practice Committee, the Go Paddle Day Committee is looking for volunteers to help as well. So if you are interested in being on the committee, please write Go Paddle and your email address in the chat, and we'll reach out to you for sure. And then as we're getting closer, if you are the organization or business that you're involved with is looking at running an event for Go Paddle Day, we can give a place to kind of list that event, as well as the next webinar we're going to do is specifically about running a Go Paddle Day event, which Pat will tell you a bit about more here in just a second. But yeah, Go Paddle Day is coming up in 10 weeks. So would love to have your help if you're able. Over to you, Pat.
Awesome. Thanks, Bain. So just to echo Bain here, we've got this last gold standard webinar that we just did is the last of our gold standard series. So now we're going to be focusing our shift and making a shift towards activation and alignment across other kind of projects. So we have a webinar on Wednesday, or May 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that will be focused on Go Paddle Day. It'll be focused on just, I guess, talking about what Go Paddle Day is, what the vision is for it, as well as the Best Practice Committee is going to put something together of how to run a Go Paddle Day event. They can be big or small. We're going to give you an idea of a checklist, all the things you need to have in the front of mind when you're putting your Go Paddle Day event on. Then we have another webinar on June 17th. That'll be focused on the value of the PTC Collab. So it's not necessarily going to highlight what's happening at the PTC Collab. It's more of I guess a webinar around why you should attend, with some testimonials from other people who have been at the previous events. I think it's really important to highlight the value that you're getting by joining the PTC, by going to the Collab event. It's not just a trade show. It's not product focused. It's really more of a conference, more of a place for us to create connection and broaden our network, and put our heads together to address some issues within our industry and create a better outcome for all of us. So we really hope that you'll continue to join us on the upcoming webinars. And we thank you for following along with this series of the gold standards and best practices. It's been a lot of fun to work on this project. And again, if you're on the fence about joining any of these PTC committees, please do so. It's been a blast working with such a talented group of individuals and sinking our teeth into how we can make a better place in the industry for all of us. So enough rambling from me. I'm going to turn it over to Andrea for just some final announcements.
Oh, thanks, Pat. And thanks for helping me get the word out about what we've been doing at Cross Currents Leadership as well. Since New Year's, twice a week, we've been doing just a short little live streams of 15 minutes at a pop with key leaders from across paddle sports and outdoor recreation. If you use this QR code, you can get to our latest sort of in case you missed it blog post, where in 10 minutes or less, you can catch up on all the speakers we had for the month of March, which are listed there. I mean, we had some really great speakers talking about how to nominate a paddle sports company for NASBLA Paddle Sports Committee honors, talking about the Kayak Adventure Series offering scholarships to become kayak fishing instructors, talking about planning underway for World Drowning Prevention Day on July 25th, among a lot of other topics about great resources across our community. So that QR code is there for you if you want to catch up on the March live streams. And then if we go to the next slide, tonight, we're switching now to spring and summer mode. So instead of doing 2 times a week, we're going to do 2 times a month. You can understand we got to have more time to be on the water. So tonight's live stream, I'm going to be talking to the chair of the ACA Regional Activity Council. Now, the Regional Activity Council only started in 2022, so most of you may not have much familiarity with it. But this is ACA's volunteer arm that is building a national infrastructure of volunteers to take that mission of paddle sports and paddle sports community to the state and local level. This is going to be a key kind of ambassador role that can help connect all of our paddling communities at the state and local level and help you rally resources for an event or activity happening in any particular region. One of the things in particular we'll be talking about is Kayaking 101. This is our 5th year of offering Kayaking 101 as an organized volunteer-led partnership event to kick off National Safe Boating Week in May. This year we have 8 states participating. I think it's going to be somewhere between 40 and 43 locations holding simultaneous Kayaking 101 classes across 8 states, all with nationally certified instructors, local retailers and outfitters and clubs participating, and in partnership with public lands agencies. We're working in partnership with state agencies and Army Corps of Engineers and Coast Guard Auxiliary. You can find all about all of that tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern for just 15 minutes, or you can catch the recording afterward. Love to see you there. And Pam, I guess I'll turn that over to you.
Very good. And I want to first start by thanking everybody, all the presenters, all the participants. We had about 50 of you at any one time in this webinar session. And I know there has to be some questions out there. So this is where you have an opportunity to either raise your hand by using that react feature in your hand raising, or we're happy to let you ask any questions live, or you can just put those into the chat. As we said earlier, this recording will be posted on the Paddlesport Trade Coalition website. And feel free to share that link for those who are interested who may not have been able to join us today. We also invite you all to join PTC. If you're not yet a member, please join. With your new and continued support, great things can be addressed on behalf of the paddle sport industry and the greater paddle sport community. Visit our website to explore the various member categories. Do we have any questions that have popped up? And I want to start by saying thank you for those of you who have volunteered for some of the committee work. It really is a great way to get actively involved and to meet your peers, work with your peers that are members of the Paddlesport Trade Coalition. Any questions? I have not seen any. Anybody want to raise your hands? Give you another 30 seconds or so before we move on. As was mentioned, we invite you to nominate yourself or someone else for the PTC Board of Directors. That election process will start in July, but get your nominations in as soon as possible. Those close June 1st. We encourage you to mark your calendars for the next webinar, which is on May 13th. And we'll take a look at Go Paddle Day in depth. And in the meantime, please start planning on how you and your community, your organization, your shop, your brand can participate fully in that event. Any questions? I see no raised hands. I see none in the chat. So I just want to ask Pat or others, Stig, if you have any final comments before we close this.
No, I think for me, thank everyone for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And I look forward to seeing you all in person in Montgomery. It's going to be an incredible event. And obviously, thank you for the Best Practice Committee. The work you guys have done over the past, seems like a year, has been incredible. And I hope that we can continue to grow the rest of the committees the way you guys have grown this one.
Patrick, any final words from the committee?
No, just gratitude and thank you very much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And if you want to get involved, just toss your name and your email in the chat. We'll reach out.
Well, on behalf of all of us at the Paddlesport Trade Coalition, we thank you. We'll sign off now, and until we meet again, happy paddling. Take care.